Jerk Faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmission, brought to you by the Circle of Church Podcast. Conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. With me, co-hosting this thing, as always, is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, everybody?
Yes. So, let's get this conversation started. How's your weekend, Rob?
Weekend was pretty good.
Yeah.
Finally saw a movie that we're going to be talking about today. Helped possibly upgrade some of our equipment, and that's pretty much it. Like I just didn't really do too much. Just kind of relax a little bit. Yes, I did. What else did I do? I did every year, first Sunday in May, my parents help out with a charity for the Rancho San Antonio Boys Home here in the Valley. And it's a place, it's a Catholic run organization. But what they help is a lot of young boys, to get them off the streets and out of gangs and drugs, and kind of help rehabilitate their life and give them structure and make them help them to become productive adults. And so it's a really great organization. They've helped thousands and thousands of kids over the 20 some years now. And the car club that my parents are involved with, they run a car show at their facility, and all the proceeds go to helping out that organization. And it was one of the best turnouts we've ever had, and made a lot of good money for the charity, and it was fun time.
Yeah, I think I remember last year you talking about it. You said that this is an annual thing, right?
Yeah. It's like the first Sunday in May. It's that's kind of been like locked in. Although like last year there was threat of weather last year, so they pushed it off to like June or July. I don't remember which month, but
rain or.
Yeah, they were thinking it was going to be like rain, and so no one's going to come to a car show or bring out their cars when it's raining, and it's just kind of
right. We don't want to ruin the finish.
So that was pretty much like my weekend, and then the rest of this week is just, man, it is a lot of work. It's I don't get a day off for a while.
Yeah, I've actually had it. I actually had it a little bit light the last few days, or even since a week ago, because amazingly, a lot of the work I usually do for the podcast got done, and so I had some time on my hands. To be honest,
Nice.
I didn't know what to do with myself.
We didn't have to crack the whip.
You're on my show. You're on my show now.
That's true. I am.
You're on my show.
I'm in the broom closet.
And don't think I won't fire you on air. I will fire your ass so fast.
Am I in the broom closet of your show?
Yes. Exactly. But my weekend it was pretty interesting. What was it? I mean, nothing terribly out of the ordinary happened, except for I went out this Saturday to a club in Hollywood with James, and at the end of the night, we were turning the corner we were walking back to our car, and we were turning the corner, and lo and behold, we run into Nick Diaz. And if you're not familiar with that name, he is an MMA fighter who was recently on suspension for failing a drug test, weed, I believe it was. And there he
Oh
was,
wow,
just
that's really
there he was
awesome.
on, in Hollywood, just kind of shooting the breeze.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I checked it. I mean, I didn't recognize him right away, but James is all about so he immediately recognized them and lost his shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was kind of gushing. They were talking about jiu-jitsu and how oh yeah, that Saturday there was this tournament that happened in Long Beach, and James was asking him, asked him if he was there, and so on and so forth. We got a few pictures snapped with him. And he was a really nice guy.
Yeah,
So,
that's really awesome. I know
yeah.
James was probably like super stoked about
Oh
that.
yeah. He like we that made his night. I mean that honestly made his night.
I
So
can already I can just picture the smile on his face.
precisely, precisely. Um, yeah. And then it wasn't just me and James, but we did uh, end up meeting up with the homegirl Christina.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and she was out with some people, and so they came over, and it was a good time. It was a grand old time. So,
Oh man, you guys had a lot of good fun. I unfortunately, well, I was not feeling the best on Saturday,
uh,
and then I had that thing in the morning with my parents, so I was just like,
hmm,
I just I missed out, but I'm kind of glad I got the rest that I needed because I was just, ugh, I felt so terrible.
yeah, don't get the FOMO, man. There's no point in it.
I know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
kids,
no.
yeah,
So
kids
we'll
nowadays
eventually all
they
have to hang out together.
what?
We'll all eventually have to hang out together again.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a while.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there was that time for the filming, and then James ended up meeting up with us. I think that was a Saturday too.
Well, that's true. Yeah. But I'm saying it's like as far as like going out, going out to do stuff together, not necessarily do stuff for the podcast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. Honestly, I can't remember the last time you came out with us. It's been a while.
It's
It's
been
been
a
a
while.
while.
Yeah. I'm either
I
too
don't know.
tired
Maybe
or
maybe
too
some
poor.
maybe in the summer.
Yeah.
What?
I'm either too tired or too poor.
Yeah, that invariably is the case. Even for me, or at least not the tired part. I'm either too broke or already engaged in something else. I I
Yeah,
made I made
that's
plans. So yeah, but yeah, we have to. Yeah, maybe in the summer we'll plan something. Either
yeah.
like
We'll get we'll do something.
a beach day or something. Go to Dockweiler, have a bonfire. I don't know,
Yeah, that'll be good.
get right next to that old water treatment plant down there. Smell that good shit. Um,
Oh yeah.
yes. Just a quick little note. If you're joining us, if you're joining us live, then you might have noticed that in the title, there's actually something there other than just like a kind of generic, title of the show and like the episode number. We put more substantial things within the title card, just to give you an idea of the topics or the direction that the night's show is going to go. So from here on forward, I think that's the way we're going to go about it. So just so you have a heads up, because I know there are a lot of things to consume on YouTube. I'm not, I'm not saying that we're the best. We are, but I'm not saying that. Uh, this might give you a little, bit of heads up. Is this worth? Is this, is this something that's worth catching live, or maybe later when it's archived? So just doing that little
True.
courtesy for you guys.
So should we dive into our first topic here, Andy?
Yes, let's indeed. Yes, for those of you who don't have a pulse and were on Mars for the past 2 weeks, Avengers: Infinity War dropped, and I gotta say, it was a good movie. It's a good movie.
Well, yeah, I unfortunately had to go see it by myself because someone had couldn't wait like an extra day to go watch it with me, so I ended up like having to watch it by myself on Saturday. That's why we're doing it this week instead of talking about it last week like we should have, but that's okay.
Hey, don't try to put that on me. That was James.
Okay,
We
well,
were hanging out, and then don't make me out to be the asshole. I called you and said, "Hey, we decided to go watch it. We decided to go watch it tonight." Down, so and then you had to help your girlfriend with her paper or whatever, some bullshit.
You were complicit. It's
Well,
okay.
well, yeah,
Anyways,
because it's Avengers.
that's true. But anyways, like Andy, I was surprised that I liked the movie as much as I did. I think like what we watched Chappaquiddick together, that was a good movie. But as far as like kind of more in the sci-fi comic book genre, I was really burned by Star Wars. I felt like that movie pretty much ruined the franchise almost. And you've heard our myriad of complaints on this show alone. But yeah, I actually was surprised how much I liked Marvel, the Avengers: Infinity War. One thing I will say is that it's good or bad. If you've been watching all the films up to this point, this movie is really awesome because it really pulls together like the strings of all the storylines that we've been watching up to this point. The characters remain consistent in their in how they've been developing, and it really like kind of brings it to this climax of this movie. Whereas if you are just stumbling into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, probably going to be a little confused. Who is this character? Why are they fighting this guy? And so on and so forth. So in that sense, like it's not necessarily a movie for. This would not be the first one I would watch in the obviously in the Marvel universe, and it would be confusing to do so. But yeah, it was really good. The character, I felt like all the characters that they had to work with for this one film, I felt like they all treated them pretty fairly, and which is a pretty daunting task, to be honest. And yeah, the action was good. I felt the story was really good. And what do you think, Andy? What were some things that you really liked about it?
Well, I mean, I think I think to your point about how Star Wars is kind of like shit in the bed, completely ruining the movie watching experience back for you. I don't think I don't think that's that much of a worry when it comes to Marvel movies because since since they've been making these movies for like 10 years, you and they never disappointed. I think that's a fair assessment to make about Marvel films. They don't disappoint. You never come out of it saying, "Man, that was a total waste of time or money." You never really say that. You just you kind of say, "Okay, that's good," and it's because they developed the formula, which is they developed they kind of developed the coke the coke of superhero movie formula. So uh, for me, anyways, there wasn't as much trepidation going into this movie because I knew that because Marvel's a proven deliverer. We don't. We're, I think Kevin Feige knows like he whatever he's doing, it's working. He knows that he shouldn't mess around with it. So I think, yeah. So on that point, I think it was pretty safe to go and watch this movie. Going to the point of that you made about uh, not necessarily starting out with the film. Yes, this movie is definitely one for the hardcore Marvel fans to watch every single Marvel movie put out there, from even the crappy or not crappy, but less than successful like Thor movies to Guardians to Ant-Man, Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
all those lower tier or not like B team kind of superheroes.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that they kind of did this all with, a lot of them are the B stars of Marvel in the
Yeah,
comics, which is really shocking how successful it's been, considering. Because yeah, I mean, you know, was like Iron Man's not exactly like the top guy. It's usually like when you think of Marvel, you think of Spider-Man, the X-Men, the
right. Yeah,
Fantastic Four. Uh, None of which, I mean, we just got Spider-Man, like not, and that's well for various reasons, obviously, but
well, at least in terms of the uh, Marvel umbrella, yes, we just got Spider-Man. We Spider-Man when it was still owned by Paramount or Universal. But,
Sony, I
the
think, was
Sam
the.
Raimi Spider-Man. They were still
Yeah.
successful.
Oh
So
no,
yeah,
no, no, like, and those ones weren't bad. I mean, I even like the ones
yeah, but
with
I mean, in
Andrew
terms
Garfield.
of being in like the MCU proper,
Right now, it's like that's what I'm saying is like now it's under this whole part of the universe and stuff. But it was successful before they were even able to get like Spider-Man and create their own
I mean,
Spider-Man
yeah,
movie and stuff.
the big premiere characters, especially when they decide to make comic book movies, were either Spider Man or the X Men. Those were like in Marvel stable. Those were the premier franchise. Spider Man and X Men. I mean, unless you're like
You
really.
can throw the Hulk in there too. I think the
I don't
Hulk's
know.
pretty
'Cause, yeah,
popular.
I know you're talking about the Ang Lee movie, but I don't know. I think well, because he had a TV show and they did the TV show in the '70s or yes, late
Well, I'm
'70s.
saying as far as popular characters in the Marvel universe, like for the comic wise, the Hulk
Oh,
is.
for comic readers, then yeah, Incredible.
Yeah, I'm just making the argument that like they're using some of the lesser known characters and they were successful with them,
Yeah,
which is crazy to think about.
I think one of the things that aided in their success is because they picked. I think they picked the characters that you could tell the best stories and were the most relatable, or they had like really interesting kind of arcs. Tony Stark started off as like this selfish, playboy, who was just didn't really stand for anything or didn't really care about anybody. All of a sudden, he's thrown into a situation where like his life is in jeopardy, and then like also like Jensen, his fellow captive, lives are in danger, and then Jensen, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the first Iron Man, he sacrifices himself. He sacrifices himself so that Tony could escape. So in that moment that Tony kind of really starts to process, kind of starts understanding the roots of his actions, or kind of like starts understanding the responsibility his actions have on others. So that's when he goes.
Yeah.
That's when he goes into like creating like the Mark II and the Mark III, and on and on and on.
Well, you see his development throughout all the Iron Man and
Right,
like a lot of the Marvel movies too.
Precisely, and even the comic books, he had some of the more interesting character development. He was an alcoholic. He went insane in the comic book. He went like insane a little bit. Trying to keep all of his inventions under his control, and just all these things. So where so so there is some character, and I mean, Captain America. Captain America is a popular character, but I think Captain America is an archetype of ideal man, the righteous man, here to save us. And I think who's not looking, who doesn't who doesn't want someone, who doesn't want an ideal to strive for. I think that is what uh, Captain America offers. That's why Captain America has been so successful in the MCU.
True.
So yeah,
yeah. But it just I've liked how all of the how they've dealt with all the characters, and you see like as the movies progress, like it's not just like a linear like, oh, this is their personality, and but you see how events change the way that they think, and they like I said, Tony Stark, Iron Man, changes from his first movie on until what you see in
until you get
Infinity
to Infinity War,
and vice versa with Captain America. They almost kind of switch places in a lot of ways.
they do a flip flop, and I think it culminated in Civil War, but it is then kind of touched upon in Infinity War, when Tony Stark is still able to like live his life, and Captain America is now like a fugitive from the law, and no longer does he wear the red, white, and blue, you know, in its vibrancy, but it's become muted and dark, and kind of gets kind of grisly with like the beard. And
yeah. It's
so yeah, they do kind of like a flip flop, because in the beginning Captain America was like the establishment figure, where he's like always follow the rules and blah blah blah. And Tony Stark was he was he was very much like an individualist, where he's like don't telling the government that they can't have his stuff, and like if they wanted the Iron Man suit, but then he's like, you can't have my stuff. but if you want, contract me out.
Right, and you start to see how things change, like in Age of Ultron, like that you start to see how both him and Cap start to change. I
Well,
really felt
I
like
don't think
Iron
it's
Man.
necessarily changed, but it's like it was always there since like
Well,
even the first Avengers. It was like when like the scepter was kind of like messing with their brain, with their minds a little bit. Uh, but you kind of saw the inherent like perspective differences, in that scene where they're kind of like arguing with each other.
right, but you also
So
see like some of the individual events that were happening in Iron Man 3. I think also you start to really see where Tony Stark begins to feel like, you know what, like this is the power that like I wield. It's too much. Like where I'm, and it's like it should be like I need to scale back, and
right,
there needs to be
yeah,
like some
because he
sort of
saw like what had happened.
yeah, and
He
and
tried
all that.
when he when he tried to uh, make decisions unilaterally. He understood like the how flawed he can be. So in that he then realized he needed some sort of counterbalance,
Right,
and
and then you
that
see how
which led to him adopting more of like an establishment kind of oversight view and leading into Civil War.
right, and then you also see the opposite effect with starting Winter Soldier with Captain America, and how he finds that not only did was it his friend who was the bad guy, like his best friend, and that like after he's trying to use his power to save him, and has the government betray him and all that stuff, and he realizes that it's like, no, I have to use this power to like make things right, and not give a damn about
Yeah, he starts adopting
consequences.
more of an individualistic
Right,
point of view, where it's like, I can't just be the symbol for the government. I can no longer be just like another cog in the wheel, but I have to, I just can't go along with whatever the government says, but I have to be the one to stand up
right,
and poke back, and push back when the government. I think, yeah, because what did he do in Winter Soldier? He uncovered like the biggest corruption scandal probably ever. Hydra working, growing right underneath the noses of everyone inside of Shield.
right,
So like, yeah, it's like there's no longer like it's kind of like the speech that the Red Skull gave in the first Captain America, where he's saying like, "Oh, I've seen the future, and the future, there's no more, there are no more flags, there are no more countries." Kind of, kind of the that it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy because after the war they invited German scientists, Hydra scientists into their government department,
right.
and just kind of allowed them to grow or to work behind the scenes. So
And it's like
governments aren't
all that he fought
infallible.
and sacrificed for was just for nothing.
Yeah, so it's like governments aren't infallible. Governments aren't always or aren't necessarily the good guys all the time. Sometimes it takes one person to point that out.
Yeah, it was like I said, I think it was really I liked how in all these movies how all the characters have been changing. Thor kind of was the same thing where he was kind of an asshole, like to start off with, and then as he's come to realize, like he became more of a realistic like character, and understood, the responsibility that he held. And then who else? I mean, Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Like, we learn a little bit more about him, and like how the Hulk. I mean, it's almost like a split personality disorder with them. It's not like that Bruce Banner is the Hulk. It's like they're two separate entities that are in one body almost. Is kind of like what we learn in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, or actually, they're not really that they're not really that. I do it. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Well, we kind of learned that that there's more overlap than you think. In the first Avengers, the alien invasion has begun, and all of a sudden, what is it? And then all of a sudden, Bruce Banner shows up, and and Cap's like, "Oh, I think it's a good time to get mad." And like, "Oh, that's my secret. I'm always angry," which means like he does have some control. He does have control over it, which means, and then like he automatically instantly transforms into the Hulk. And so,
but see the thing, I think they're when you see like Thor Ragnarok, because he'd been, he turned into the Hulk and he remained the Hulk for several years, and when he finally like is snapped out of it and he becomes back to being Bruce Banner, he is like, man, what happened? Where am I? Like he doesn't remember anything. Like he just, so that's where it's like kind of the.
well, you see, with that, I kind of, what is it? With that, I take it more as just because the environment that he was in like that place, the Nexus, I believe it was called. And the laws of the universe don't necessarily, not necessarily, are observed in that particular area, and maybe some sort of like radiation was keeping Hulk out, and then also maybe that kind of put Banner in a form of like hibernation within.
But then also like when he gets his ass kicked by Thanos in this movie, spoiler alert, and then when he's trying to get him to come back out, he's like, he's fighting with him, saying, "It's like," so that's why I'm saying like it feels like they're more like two different entities more than being the same person. That's more like, it's like more like a split personality deal than and they're sharing like one body.
Well, now it's okay. Now it does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because now it does feel like that. Before, in the beginning, it did feel more of, you don't know where one started again, because he was able to control his transformation. But
yeah, I mean, and this
since
is
the events of Age of Ultron and Ragnarok, they have become more separate entities. And Hulk is at, when Banner was trying to call up Hulk, he was kind of exerting his own will. No.
Yeah.
Although there are some problems. There are some problems with this movie.
Well, it makes me think that they're wanting to do more with the Hulk too, like maybe like, and they can't, maybe trying to give him more of a personality to work with, and maybe that's what they're attempting to do.
Maybe. Although, what was it? Steven Crowder did a review of this movie. He liked it, but he didn't love it. And one of the things he said, which I understand what he means, is that they basically, the Marvel basically took for granted the audience, and I totally understand that because it kind of just threw us into the story without any sort of context. They never, like I think what you were saying, we talked about this before, um, but you're saying like, oh, last time on the Avengers or whatever, not like a recap thing, but I don't necessarily hate that they didn't have one of those things
Yeah,
because it's like because the amount of characters that are in this movie and how much screen time each character is contractually supposed to have. There's like 40 plus characters in this movie, so I understand the their expedience in just throwing the audience into the movie and kind of taking it granted of the audience, banking on the presumption that they have seen all the movies, and not needing that recap.
yeah. I mean, I agree and disagree with like what Crowder was saying too, because yeah, in one sense, like it's I mean, this is in one sense, yeah, it does kind of need like almost like a short recap, just because this movie is like really 10 years in the making, and not everyone has watched all the movies up to this point, but to me, these are you remember back in I was like back in the 30s, 40s, I think even the 50s, they had film serials, and it presumed that you had been, when every time
Yeah,
you went to
keeping
the
up,
theater.
watching each one as it came out.
Exactly. This is a new version of that in a lot of ways. So for me, I've been watching all of them, and for me, that's what I'm saying. If you've watched all the films, you're not losing out on anything. You're right there. And to me, I think the movie was consistent. It was as far as like the characters go, the story itself was really good. Yeah, all that. But obviously, like, yeah, if you're just coming into this like, oh, what's this Avengers, and you go into it, and this is the first one you've watched of the series. Yeah, you're gonna be lost. It's same thing with like TV shows. I mean, it presumes that you've watched the last episode in a lot of these cases.
Yeah, I think safe to say is this is not the movie you take your girlfriend to who's not a Marvel fan.
No,
Because you'd be like,
it's
who's that guy? Why is that guy saying that? What's that green thing?
yeah. Oh yeah, I know. This would
Yeah,
be
this would be the wrong movie to take your girlfriend who's not into Marvel, who's not watched all the movies. They'll just constantly be asking questions.
trust
Who's
me.
that
I
guy?
know
Why is
all
his
about
chin so big?
Trust me, I know all about being asked a million questions during being the DVD commentary on every movie that I watch with a certain someone. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've had my fair share of, of dates and going to a movie and they constantly ask me, that guy, what did he just say? It's like, I don't know. You were just asking me, what did he say as you were
why did
speaking?
why is he doing that? It's like, if you watch for another 5 minutes, you'll know why.
Yeah.
Oh, here is the answer.
But hold on, it's kind of like this movie thing is done linearly, and if you just keep watching, eventually end, and it'll make complete sense.
This is why we watch stories.
It's like they designed this thing to be watched, paid attention to, and all of your questions will be answered at the end.
That's kind of like, that's the whole point.
So yeah, it kind of feels like they did this on
Well, I
purpose.
don't want to wait. I don't want to wait. It's like, just.
Yeah, it's kind of like they did this on purpose.
I know. Okay,
Jeez.
something I had to bring up too, and maybe I'm going crazy, but when did it start becoming okay for people to start, cheering their ass off, like, and clapping during a movie?
I don't know.
That seems like
during the movie or when the movie is finished?
No, during the movie. Because that has been happening for like I've noticed the last 5 or 6 years, and it's like certain franchises where, woo, character came out, wow, yeah, woo. It's like, this isn't a fucking like baseball game. It's like.
Where did you watch this movie?
Huh?
Where'd you watch the movie?
No, I'm not saying this movie in particular. I'm just saying, but it happens a lot now in certain like some of the Marvel movies, or any like big name franchise film that everyone's like waiting for. Like Star Wars was one. It happens a lot.
Wait, who cheered during Star Wars? For what character?
Huh?
I said, who cheered during Star Wars? For what character?
Well, I remember both for Force Awakens, and then Last Jedi was when what was it? They I don't remember the exact points, but it happened, and I'm like, what? Why are we cheering? Like, it's just just watch the movie. Like, you're.
You know what's funny?
And it's like we're missing dialogue now because you assholes can't like shut up.
But let me ask you something. Let me ask a question. Why do you clap?
Well, because you're excited about something, I would imagine.
Okay. Why do you clap at a movie?
Because you're an idiot. I have never once clapped at a movie.
Okay, what is the purpose of clapping at a play or like live stage?
Usually that comes at the end of the performance, where you're applauding their efforts.
Right.
I'm not saying
right. Okay.
at all. Like, I don't mind at the end of a movie. That's fine.
Okay.
But I'm saying during the film.
Okay. So as you said, at least for a stage or live production.
Well, yes, but see, for live production,
to show approval or appreciation for the actor's efforts or performance, right? So so they know that you appreciate their efforts.
Well, here's the problem between like a live performance where the actor's like, oh, okay, there's clapter, like they'll pause for a few seconds before they start with the dialogue some more, whereas we don't get that luxury in a film because the actors have long said this thing has already been like filmed, so we're missing out on dialogue and like other stuff that continues on. I'm like, no, but so we just.
But that's my point.
What if it was like at a and sometimes it's like at a critical juncture in the film where like I want to know what the hell that person's saying.
Well, that's my point. They're not like actors. They're not there. Right, live, performing, this play, in front of you. So why the hell do you clap for them? Why do you help like either during or at the end? Why do people clap? It just sounds so ridiculous because you clap to show your appreciation or your approval of the performance.
Right.
Right, but they're not there. They like these people. They don't even like. They neither require nor care that you clap at the end of their movie. But we do. Yeah. But some people do it anyways. That sounds stupid to me.
Yeah, it's just I think it's one of the most ridiculous things.
I mean, I'll admit I used to clap, but then I was thinking about it. It's like these people like do not require nor do they care if I clap at the end. Like if they don't get like my applause, then they don't. There is no it's no skin off their nose. So why am I doing it?
That's why I went to the theater at 10 o'clock in the morning just so I could avoid all that shit.
Yeah, but it's just kind of I don't know. It's just kind of asinine to me to clap. At the end of a movie.
At the
Yeah, it's
end,
kind
it's
of
fine. Like
it's
that's
obnoxious. It's
that's
obnoxious
completely
to
different.
clap and hoot and holler during the movie because yeah, you might be missing out on some important dialogue.
Like I said, if it's at the end, like that's fine. We had this shared experience together. It was an awesome movie. Yeah, let's clap and cheer and or whatever. But like it's
Yeah, see,
but
I was like thinking about it and it's like it doesn't make sense. That's why I will no longer clap at the end of a movie.
but like I don't know when this phenomena like started. Like all of a sudden, like because I'm trying to think like the first movie I remember that happening, and I'm like, what the hell is? It's just it was. I don't know. I think it might have been like one of the Mission Impossible films or something like that. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are we cheering? I mean, it was a great part. It was a great part of the film, but it was just so ridiculous. So I, for one, like, it's kind of like doing the wave at a stadium. I refuse to do it.
Well, I mean that I understand. You go to a stadium and you are participating in a shared experience. And it's kind of like it's kind of a community building, you know, uh, thing. So for that, that I completely understand. It's just like for applauding for a movie, for performances from people who aren't there, who aren't physically there to receive the applause. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think it's stupid.
So yeah, that's yeah. So that I no longer applaud at the end of movies when I go see them. It's just like and other people are just like clapping. I was like they don't care. Right? Like they got those people they got their paycheck. They neither require or care about your applause.
Exactly.
I don't know. I know that sounds like really cynical, but you know.
I I feel pretty much the same way.
So I think we did a pretty good job talking about this movie without really uh
Not too many spoilers.
yeah,
I kind
no
of wanted
many
to avoid spoilers
spoilers.
because it's still a little fresh.
Yeah.
So it's realistic that some people haven't seen it yet. I know I'd be kind of pissed if somebody was throwing out spoilers this soon.
Did you watch Black Panther yet?
I have not watched Black Panther yet
Yeah,
because now it's
last
out of
time I
theaters.
talked
So
to you,
now
that was the movie that you haven't seen.
I had my reasons for not watching it yet. I will watch it though, just because I feel like I missed something from that film going into this one, and I want to see if I'm right if I did miss something. Um,
Well, as someone who has seen it,
no,
uh,
don't tell me. I want to
no, no,
figure
no,
out
no.
if
I'm not gonna spoil anything. But in like relation to Infinity War, uh, there really isn't any terribly big connective tissues between those two.
okay. All right. Well, I'm still gonna
But
watch it at some
yeah,
point.
I know like one of the reasons we're hesitant to watch it, but I assured you you can go watch it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably eventually going to watch it. I just when it comes to that, at some point, it just gets so. I wait till like later just to like, okay, now I'll watch it, where it's like not as super popular and like everyone stops talking about it. But it was just like some of the people that were watching it and commenting and all that stuff about it were people who I don't really trust their opinion on pretty much anything. So, and they tend to lean more towards the left, and so I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of those like type of films where it's just I was like,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
I
know. So
understand,
it turned
and
me off.
yeah, and I'm not saying that Black Panther isn't completely free of isn't free of leftist ideas or or principles, but it's not enough to where like it makes it on the movie unwatchable. I'll say that.
Well, whenever like when all the stuff that was being said about it was being said, it's like, what, for me, I just like, what, I disconnect from that. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
want to
understand.
hear all
So
the.
I completely understand that point. That stance. But as your
Because to me, it's
friend,
like, yeah,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
you can
I
go
trust
watch
you. So
it.
I'm
You can't. You will probably enjoy it.
yeah. As soon as it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm gonna get it. So
There you go.
what's the what and I'm drawing a blank on what's the next film in the Marvel that's coming up. Is it the new Ant-Man that's coming out next, or is it something else?
Yes, it is Ant-Man and the Wasp, and technically also Deadpool's dropping.
True, but as far as like this particular
The
MCU,
yeah, the MCU, yeah, Ant-Man. Next year we'll be getting both Captain Marvel and the fourth Avengers movie,
and
which
then
they
like
have delineated that the fourth Avengers movie will not necessarily be a sequel to this Avengers.
will not be what?
That will not be necessarily a sequel to Infinity War.
Oh, very interesting.
Because like the idea was, they were, I think Josh Whedon was still captaining this thing. They were going to split it up: Infinity War Part One and Infinity War Part Two. But then like he dropped out, and the Russo brothers came in. And I think they were the ones that made the decision to not call it Part One and Part Two, but just like Avengers Infinity War, and then whatever they decide to subtitle this next the fourth Avengers movie. But they didn't want to necessarily make it a sequel, like sequel to Infinity War. Because I think they said that they felt like they told a complete story.
I see. I see.
And I think that's also smart too, to to put some distance, so as to
Yeah,
not
but it'll be interesting.
so as to not put any undue pressure on trying to live up to what they did in Infinity War. And so they won't get the necessary flack that a sequel would engender.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it.
So yes, I'd recommend it. Do you recommend it?
Yeah, I highly recommend, especially if you've seen all the other Marvel films, and you like those. This is gonna be great. You're gonna love it. And if you haven't seen all the other Marvel movies, go watch them first before you watch this one.
Yeah, it might take you a while. If you really want to do right by and watch all of the movies,
Yeah, you really. Mm-hmm.
then get cracking, get cracking.
Yeah,
Because
and
what is it?
you
There's
watch them.
like
Watch
17
them in
movies.
order too, because it's a lot, and I would say watch them in order because you get like little like nuggets and stuff, and how like the story connects, and um, yeah, it's
Yeah,
and they do have like an order of like the
yeah, the
actual.
chronological order versus the release order. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like Star Wars. How I have my revised revised order. Because
Yep.
even though George Lucas says start with the prequels and then go into the original trilogy, I think like especially if you're a young person, if you're a young person, and you're experiencing Star Wars for the first time, I think the revelation that Vader is Luke's father is too is too profound and amazing to be ruined by watching the prequels first. If that makes sense,
Yeah, that makes sense.
because it's like you're going up against this person who you think is the one that killed your father, but then plot twist, he's actually your
He
father.
is. Yep.
So yeah, to ruin that revelation by watching the prequels first, I think it's a travesty.
That's it. Yeah, if you've never watched it.
Yeah, if you never watched it again, like for those parents out there who want to expose their children to the good Star Wars, then yeah, start them off with the original trilogy, and then prequels,
Yep,
because
I agree.
because given enough time, I'm definitely appreciating the prequels more, especially in light of the garbage that we've been getting as of late. But yes, my for those of you not in the know, my revised order of viewing for Star Wars is 4, 5, prequels, and then 6.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that next Star Wars marathon that I do.
and 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 then also optional, you don't have to watch episode 1, but that's just optional. That's just optional. I think it was really cool because it was like reintroducing us to the universe and updated a lot of fight choreography for the lightsaber battles. Like
I will say that one of my favorite. There was someone on Twitter that I follow. Well, we follow each other, and he's a big Star Wars guy, and he threw out this question of, what's your favorite like lightsaber battle? I honestly would have to say that my favorite lightsaber battle is from Episode 1 with Darth Maul and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I thought that was a really awesome battle.
my singular favorite duel is Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, especially in like that reactor room and right after Qui-Gon gets stabbed, and then Obi-Wan is like pumped, ready to go, and he just goes at him at Darth Maul hard. Man, that is some
Yeah.
beautiful fight choreography.
Right? Yeah, it was awesome. And you got that like really awesome battle music from the music in Episode 1 is
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
Duel of the Fates. Oh dude, that's my
Oh,
jam.
that's on like my favorite song list for the Star Wars franchise.
No, right? When you think that John Williams is spent, he comes out with that gem.
The man's a genius when it
Yeah,
comes to that stuff. He's really great.
Well, since you mentioned it, speaking of Twitter, I actually just this past week got into my first official Twitter fight.
Oh
Kind
yeah,
of.
you were talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily it was like a full-on fight. It was more of like a skirmish.
Skirmish.
It was a bit of a
Well,
skirmish.
hey, language is important. You have
Yes.
to make sure. Our words are very important.
Yeah, I wasn't having a full-on slugfest with somebody on Twitter. It was just
Skirmish is the right word, I think.
yeah, I had left a comment on someone else's tweet, and they felt like that I was being. I guess they thought that I was being stupid, which I wasn't. I was trying to make a point in which I clarified my point. After that, it was just, radio silence.
Yeah. Well, you tend to leave a lot of people in radio silence, where it's like, oh, what? You have nothing to say? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of my MO because because the tweet in question dealt with the recent news about girls being led into the Boy Scouts.
Right.
And the original tweet was from this guy Will Witt. He's a presenter on PragerU.
PragerU.
Yeah, PragerU.
Yeah.
And he was talking
Not
about
Will. Not Will. Well, I always, for whatever reason, his name sounds very familiar with Will Wheaton, which is not the same guy.
right. The self-proclaimed king of the nerds.
Exactly.
Yeah, what a beta soy boy. But anyway, back to my story. What was it? Yeah, Will Witt from PragerU put out tweets like saying, "Boy Scout is for boys. It's in the name." And I'm a troll, but I'm a virtuous troll. So I replied to his tweet by saying, by kind of like being a troll, and I put, if there are no distinctions between boys and girls, men and women, then maybe we should consider getting rid of gendered laws and equal pay and affirmative action where I would start. And so after that, someone commented on my tweet saying, he started off with LMFAO. So we're dealing with high intellect.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And as LMFAO is that isn't the
not the band.
Yeah, not the band, but laughing my ass off or laughing my fucking ass off. And let me just so I'm fair and I don't misrepresent this guy.
You don't need any more hate tweets.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm still waiting for our first hate comment.
Maybe this guy will be watching and he's like slamming down on his keyboard.
I was like, what? Oh yeah. But the lack of inherent differences doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they are treated differently, which is what those laws are about. And I thought that was hilarious, and I replied back, like, well, that's the point. With us, allowing girls to go into Boy Scouts, we're treating them as if there is no inherent difference. It's like so. Therefore, there's we're treating them like no differently. So therefore, it stands to reason that Equal Pay Act and affirmative action are no longer necessary to be enforced.
Yeah.
And after that, I was just no more replies.
Yeah, it's.
So
I mean, the real problem is like how, we're trying to just like, oh yeah, the gender doesn't matter. It's, everyone's interchangeable. It's like, well, that's really not the case. That's
because
not that. And to me, like this whole idea of, um, is allowing girls into the Boy Scouts, like, okay, that's fine, but like you're pretty much like, anything that. But you're pretty much like denigrating like the Girl Scouts, almost like you're making it like, it's like Negro League baseball, where it's it's something like that. It was something inferior to the Boy Scouts. Like no one ever said that the Girl Scouts were inferior.
right, yeah.
But what the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts were about, it was a group where, and for the Boy Scouts it was a way for boys to interact with each other and good good male like role models
Yeah, it was a place
and
for
learning stuff
young boys to develop skills
yeah
like leadership and also just like personal growth, to be upstanding
responsibility
citizens and so on and so forth.
and it's and the same thing goes for the Girl Scouts too. And in fact, they didn't really do a whole lot different than the Boy Scouts did. It was girls doing it. And to be honest, they might be better because they have really awesome cookies. But
nobody wants to buy popcorn. Get out of here with that popcorn.
Yeah, no one wanted to buy the
Pass me a box of them Thin Mints.
And yeah, but it's also good for girls to hang around with other girls and good like female role models. Like we don't have to always, there wasn't some, glass ceiling for them to break through. It's all about how it was so that people of their own gender could spend time together, like learn how to interact and be good citizens with one another, and also learn from older role models from like their gender. That's a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically, these programs are just mentoring programs, and it'd be one thing if they said like, oh, we're gonna stop Girl Scouts, and so it's like, oh, and then asking Boy Scouts to take them in. No, they're still gonna have Girl Scouts, but they just browbeat Boy Scouts into taking girls.
Yeah.
So and just, and they keep saying like, oh, girls need strong role models and yada yada yada. So
well, they just like tore that that whole they tore their role models away from them, because now like the Girl Scouts are pretty much going to be what, like useless at this point. If
it'd be superfluous, it'd be redundant. But and then they came out and says like, oh well, they're not going to have mixed groups. It's like, let's see how long that lasts.
Oh yeah, well now that this line's been crossed, it's only a matter of time.
Of course, there's no such thing as a slippery slope.
Yeah, it's just
like never gonna happen.
And for me, it's I'm, as a former Boy Scout myself, it's just, I mean, when is enough going to be enough? Where this whole gender neutral stuff and we're all interchangeable kind of thing, like we're not looking at reality anymore. It's like we're creating these this make believe world that we want to live in.
Yeah,
well, I don't want to live in it, but
I think a great example of this is this YouTube channel called Cut. If you're not familiar, they're the ones that had the parents describe what masturbation was to their elementary age kids.
Yeah, there's that's not that shouldn't
Yeah,
be
that
a
was some
thing.
degenerate shit. But they came out with another video recently, trying to again let's call it what it is. Indoctrinate. In trying to indoctrinate their children to the idea of gender identity and and it's quite telling because when the parents, the adult, tried to explain what gender identity was and what why gender was like a social construct or whatever, kids were like so confused. Like, you could see it in their faces, you could see it in their responses.
Because it goes against logic and biology. It's
Right?
like, and they know that
Exactly.
those kids are smarter than the adults.
Yeah, because the kids understood, the kids know that if you're a boy, then you're a boy, and you can't be a girl, and vice versa. They know it's hardwired into our brains to understand differences and and to see things in a binary. That's all there is. At least for human beings, there's only the binary, and yeah, like there's this one girl like with the most like soyed out effeminate father I've ever seen. Where he asked her, "Oh, what if I told you that you could be a boy?" Like to his daughter, presumably. And you know what her response was? Like,
No.
I'm gonna go live with mommy. Yeah, it's like and
Yeah.
what if I told you you can be a what if I told you you can be a boy? It's like, well, I'm gonna go live with mommy. And it's
Oh,
like,
that's probably the best idea for her.
yeah, especially with like this beta male's soyed out low T father.
Yeah,
And it's like,
it's ridiculous, man.
yeah, and it's so telling because if you had if because they wouldn't stand for it if you were teaching creationism, you know, to children, but then they would then there would have been a protest. There would have been riots in the streets saying, "Oh, how dare you teach creationism," and all that kind of stuff. But then for this stuff, it's just like it's all it is a huge virtue signal saying, "Oh, look how progressive I am. Look how enlightened I am. Teaching my children about these
Yeah,
good progressive things." Like, no, you're the equivalent of mentally beating them with a belt.
we're creating a generation of fucked up people. I kind of wonder if this is why so many people have a lot of mental conditions, because I think a lot of it comes from where the reality of the world around us, compared to like what we ourselves want to believe and all that, where it creates a lot of uh, there's a lot of fracture, and like those two realities don't meet up sometimes, especially in this case where you're feeding people all these different ideologies that don't work and to be honest don't make sense, and you try to like force feed that into a world that like obviously doesn't believe that they make sense, but that reality is stuck in that person's head. It fucks people up because now
I mean, to bring it back to the whole, well, to what I had tweeted out. Well, which one is it? Are men and women interchangeable, indistinguishable from each other? There are no inherent differences, or do they need laws like the Equal Pay Act, like affirmative action, because they're they're different,
it can't be
they're
both.
yeah, it can't be both. I know you want it to be both. I know these people want it to be both. but it can't be both. Either there are no inherent differences between men and women, or there are, and we keep these protections for you, even though I think they're ridiculous.
Yeah,
Because
it's
I
crazy.
remember I was watching a Milton Friedman lecture, and this woman was talking about, how do you reconcile women being paid less than men, some sort of feminist question. He was like saying,
Yeah,
"Oh, I don't think it's a bad thing that a woman is paid less, or is offered less than a man, because if that other employer who won't hire women, um, you should hit that guy, the sexist guy who won't hire women where it hurts. That's in the wallet. So you can take your power and go work for someone, a different company that will hire women. But if they do give you, even if they do pay less, then you then then you're hurting that sexist guy, because he has to pay uh, a good deal more for his sexism, because he'll only hire men,
right,
which will then eventually edge him out, because he has to pay these high salaries for these men, but the competitor only has to pay a little bit, and they keep growing and growing, and then eventually bring you up and pay you more. And I think it was great, because he was like saying, "Oh, I'm from women." Milton Friedman was saying, like, "Oh, I'm for women, like you're not." To like that woman.
yeah, yeah. Just man, I'm gonna need to probably get that leftist tears tumbler at some point because I am drowning in the tears
Right?
every single day.
It's funny because I realized why I don't like Twitter all that much.
It's it's one of those things because I tend to, even if like I really do like particularly believe in something a certain way or another, I tend to stay away from those things just on Twitter because it's you only have a certain amount of characters to be able to explain your position, and so things can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, not just that. I don't think it's the proper platform to express yourself, but
Well, and
just
that's what I'm saying. It's
but hold on, let me just finish this thought. It's because it's too easy to take someone out of context, because
true.
because tools like even in the thread that I was in, people were taking the guy's response and retweeting it, not taking into what I had said, or the previous person, or like the original poster's uh, tweets into context,
Right.
or even my response to that guy's tweet. So it makes it look like some kind of like ownage on me. You know?
You got owned.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that guy
You were
totally slammed
destroyed.
him. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
destroyed, bro. It's like, oh, why don't you read the rest of the thread?
Yeah.
And so that yeah, so that's the revelation I came to. That's like one of the reasons why I don't like Twitter. It's so easy to take people out of context, and it's also very easy to misrepresent.
Oh yeah, very easily.
So that's why I leave it to you.
Well, it's I like I said, I try to stay away from some of those dumb Twitter fights if I can handle it.
I mean,
Um,
I only engaged because I knew like I could relatively simple matter of just debunking kind of proving wrong any statement like that response to my initial tweet about getting rid of Equal Pay Act or affirmative action. It's like, oh, well, it's not about lack of inherent difference. The fact that they're treated differently.
But you're also saying that they aren't different. So
Yeah,
what is it?
exactly.
Like,
So yeah,
which one is it? You have to choose one. You can't be both. But people don't want to do that because that requires thinking.
Yeah, water can be either liquid or solid. It can't be both at the same time.
Exactly.
So you either want to take a bath or you want to go ice skating. You can't do both things at the same time.
You can't.
You can't. It's impossible.
Unless you're in a bathtub with hot water that has ice skates on it.
Robert with the hack.
I win.
Yes, finally won one.
But yeah. But I agree. It's kind of and this isn't a thing. It's like, trust me, Andy and I, we like women. We feel that like these arguments in a lot of ways are not for women or at all. It's more about denigrating women or making them feel less. I mean, we've had this argument about like how we have to have a female 007 or a female this character. Is like, why don't you just make a cool female character that's something completely different that isn't like subject to these other characters? Why do we have to like, what do we really think of women if like, oh, well, let's change up this character? It's like, no, just make a cool female character in something else. Like and make it its own thing. I'm not like, we need to have a male Wonder Woman. It's like, that's stupid. Like, why would I want to ruin Wonder Woman by like having a guy in that role?
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying we want to chain women to the floor and not give them shoes and only keep them in the kitchen. But we're for. I think I can safely say that me and Robert are both for women to choose their preferred life path. Whether it's pursuing that high paying executive position or if it's staying home and raising children. And everything in between those. Okay? Everything in between those, I think a woman has the right to choose.
Yeah. Well, I always argue it's like it's not just that like I'm saying like, oh well, the famous saying is like from women is like, I don't need no man to do. It's like, okay, well I tend to disagree because I feel like men and women do need each other. And that's the other thing, we don't really hear about that. It's like, yeah, women are important to a man's life too, because to be honest, there's a lot of rough edges around men that like women help to shape and soften in good ways. And it's women are really good at helping bring out like good character in some guys. Like a lot of guys do make good changes to their life that so that the woman is benefited and vice versa. I think there's a lot of stuff that guys do to help care for women, and if we're going to be in this world that we live in now, if we keep pushing these lines down the road further and further away, it's like we're going to have this like weird sexless Puritan society where it's just like, oh well, hey, guys and girls doesn't matter or whatever. It's some weird world that we're gonna be living in.
I mean, yeah, it's just, I think it's one of the things that I've always brought up is complementarianism. Man does not have everything he needs to be sufficient. Woman doesn't have everything that she needs to be sufficient. But come together, you are made sufficient together. So yeah, because like, if because men aren't natural caregivers, women aren't natural providers. So why not just let us each do what we do best.
Yeah.
It's worked for thousands upon thousands of years.
Well, but you and I, Andy, we're just not progressive enough.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean,
Any
what was that?
no, you finish first.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, I've been following Owen Benjamin, the comedian, for a little bit now. He made this really interesting point about how uh, feminism is anti, and it almost borders on Nazi ideology because what they espouse is, don't stay at home and raise children. Go out there and work. Work will make you free. And one of those, and the point that he made was that phrase, "Work makes you free." You know where that phrase was famously put for the whole
That
world
would
to
be
see?
a very not. That was a Nazi slogan.
Yeah, it was the
Work shall set you
words.
free.
It was the words they placed over the gate,
Of
the
Auschwitz.
entrance of Auschwitz.
Yep.
Work will make you free. So, and that's kind of the ideology of feminism. Work will make you free. You're telling women to go, work will make you free.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
when he pointed that out, it's like, holy crap. And, and it may be no surprise to Robert, but a surprise to the audience. Yeah, I have my own gripes against them.
Yep.
Partially because, I not to any terrible degree. I will be fair in that, but have experienced some of the negative aspects of more like third wave feminism, where they pathologize all masculine behavior, attack and attack men for simply being men or trying to speak up about certain issues, certain topics, not necessarily in not necessarily a negative way, but just what kind of like it was kind of like, well, what I experienced was kind of more like women telling me to stay in your lane. If that kind of clarifies.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I have my own gripes with feminism, with third wave feminism to be specific. Because let's be specific, because again, language is important. So third wave feminism, I have
Oh yeah.
I have a
Exactly.
great
No,
deal of umbrage with that particular
I
idea.
I completely agree.
All right. Well, believe it or not, Robert, we are coming up on an hour and a half.
Jeez. I mean, where's the time go, Andy?
Seriously, it it just when you have such spicy topics, it just
Very
time just
spicy.
flies. So,
That's true.
but I think think we've said it. We've said that all that we're gonna, all that we can say about it. This would be a good place for us to shut her down. So, do you have any closing remarks or thoughts that you would like to share before we wrap things up?
Let's see. So, as always, Thursday we got a new episode of Up High Up Down coming up. We're gonna continue on our Zelda adventure. So tune in and comment on that. What else am I doing this week? I don't. Up until next week, until I finally have a day off. I'll have 2 days off in a row. Woo! It's pretty much work. That's about it. So I'm just gonna try to, get as much rest as possible, so I don't, get sick and die, and that way we can do more filming.
Yeah, don't get me sick again. That was messed up.
No. This time it's not like actually like the flu or cold. I'm actually like I've been having sinus issues or something that last
maybe more allergies.
Yeah, just like it's spring, so all the pollen is thrown up in the air, and it's driving me crazy.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget that we are doing this every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. PDT, Pacific Daylight Time. So, because we in California do daylight savings time, so whatever time zone you're in, do some simple math, and you'll figure it out. Don't forget to check out the library of videos that we have from the regular podcast, this show, and Robert's show, Up, Up, Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media. Twitter at podcastcoj. Come and start a fight with me. Fight me, bro. And on Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast. All right, and with that, we'll say goodnight to you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.